low risk, well, not many of those exist, right? That would be a unicorn. So what we're really looking for is, where is there a big, hairy problem that has the right amount of risk? And if we can find that, then we have profit. And so now, they call it hair on a deal. That's like, investing terms. You want to look for those hairy deals where you think, oh, that level of risk is manageable. And in our culture, for some reason, I think we've gone into risk off.
Yeah.
God, we don't even want the risk of asking somebody a question at a bar. More or less starting a business. And that's a problem. I mean, the SBA has fascinating data. Do you know there are more small businesses that close each year than open in the U.S.?
No way.
More close than open. And so we have people taking way less risk than we think. And that means you'll never make as much money. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Let's talk about that in terms of investing. If someone's thinking that, because they cut exactly what you're talking about right now, this risk-reward profile, if someone has never invested in anything, they're working their job, they've got a little bit of money, maybe if they've got $1,000 to start thinking about investing, maybe they've got a bit more. Maybe they've been saving up and they're thinking that home that they want to buy is a long way away, but they got a little bit. Where should they invest?
If you have only a little bit of cash, the best returning asset class of all time is going to be you. Put the money into you, learning first before you go to invest. A lot of people these days will say, hey, it's Airbnb. Hey, it's buying small businesses. Hey, it's real estate. The highest performing asset class that you could ever have is you, because you have unlimited upside and it compounds over time. And so if you don't have a lot of cash right now, bet on you first before you go bet on somebody in the S&P. Now, after that next amount, I believe, because I'm old school, I started at Vanguard, I believe if you're reasonable, you'll probably agree with me. Like, do we think that we're going to beat the best stock pickers in the world who obsess on this every single day? Are we going to beat the titans of industry with their technology? No. So that's why I always go for low cost, low movement, so they don't trade a lot, index funds. I worked at Vanguard. They have the best cost structure. So I throw things in the S&P 500 in a diversified portfolio.
How does someone do that? Someone who's totally new to this.
You go to Vanguard.com. You have no fees on their trading platform. In my opinion, avoid anything where you're buying individual stocks when you don't know, unless you're doing it purely for learning and you're okay with losing everything. And you go to Vanguard.com and you select a diversified portfolio. It's cool too, because they'll actually help you do it based on your age and based on how much risk you want to take. So they'll have a 60-40 portfolio, which is like 60% stocks and 40% bonds. If you're our age, for instance, if somebody's a little younger, they'll go 80-20, because you should take more risk with stocks when you're young. So you can literally, in one click, get a diversified portfolio, and then you can add to it. You could also use like a wealth front for that.
What's a diversified portfolio for someone who doesn't know?
That means that you never want to have all your eggs in one basket in anything in life, but certainly in investing. And so that means that they're going to give you stocks and bonds. It means they're going to give you emerging markets versus the U.S. So let's say India, China, Russia, Brazil, and the U.S. stock market. And it means that over time, that there's these charts you can see in finance where it kind of looks like a grid, and on it are all of these different colors. And what do all the colors represent that have no pattern to it? Every single year looks different. They represent every asset class you could invest in, from bonds to stocks to Chilean stocks to short-term money markets. And what you see over time is in every single market, everything moves. And so what you want to have is a portfolio that over time averages somewhere around 10%. That's the average cost of inflation. How your money, really, if you don't invest it, every single year that you don't invest, you lose money. Say you took a $100 bill right here, and I had it right in front of me. And I looked at that bill since the beginning of the Federal Reserve, which is the government institute that mandates or manages all of our currency in the U.S. So if I go all the way back to the 70s, and I look at it today, what do I see? I see that $100 bill, if I just held it from then to now, is worth about $25. It's not worth $100 anymore. Why? Because of inflation. And so if we don't invest our money and we stick it under our mattress, then sadly the government eats away at it every single year, both sides, politically agnostic. And so we got to make sure that we put our money somewhere. That's why the stock market over time is usually what most people do.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. And what's the difference between a stock and a bond?
Okay, so stocks and bonds, 101. I think about stocks like a ability for you to have future upside of a company. So you are betting, in a way, on a company. You're saying today the price of Amazon is $10. I think in the future the price of Amazon will be $15. I want to go for that ride. It's called upside return. With a bond, what are you doing instead? You're saying, I actually want income. It's like a certificate. If I give you $100, I promise you, over the next 5 years, I'm going to give you 120 back. You're not going to make more if the bond that you invest in goes up or down in price. You're just going to clip coupons, is what they're called. It used to be like that. So you're clipping the coupon. And the reason we want both of those is because, again, you want, when the stock market crashes, you want your bond to still be clipping those coupons, baby. Still coming in. When the stock market's raging, you want to capture some of that upside. And that's how we play right there in the middle of investing.
Is there a stage 3? So we did stage 1 is you, stage 2 is S&P. What's a stage 3?
Stage 3 is private. So if you're a real pro and you want to go for 303 of investing, that's where we start to do private equity. That's just investing in those same companies, but instead of them being traded publicly, those companies are now held by private investors. They'll never trade on a stock exchange. That also includes things like you can have alternative investments. That might mean investing in direct in real estate or investing in commodities, which would be like timber, right? You can bet on timber prices. That might be like equity and options. I think this generation got a little crazy because they were the first generation to gamify stock market investing and make it seem fun as opposed to serious. And they were the first generation that got easy access to things like options and warrants. And that's really actually only for pros. So I think anybody who's trying to tell you how to day trade, anybody who's trying to tell you how to do options, that strategy, think about that. Like somebody trying to tell you, let me teach you over the course of a couple hours of me speaking to you how to cut open somebody's brain. We just wouldn't do that. This is for pros. And if you really want to make real money, you don't do it by messing around at the margins of financial investing, in my mind. You do it by becoming the company that they invest in, which is stage 4. So that's when you're like, I buy the business outright. I raise money for my own business. And that's the next level of the game.
That's so great. I love that step by step, because I feel for so many people, it just feels like this unorganized, messy, wild, wild west. Now it's like, wait a minute, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. I love that. Going back to stage 2 of the S&P, what percentage of someone's income should they be looking to put into the S&P?
There's lots of rules around this, but I believe in you pay yourself first. And by you pay yourself first, what I mean is you think about your investments just like you would a need, not a want. So every single month, I believe in automatic investing. I've done it my entire career. Vanguard taught me that. You get really lucky in finance. They teach you how to invest so that it becomes a habit, not a possibility. You don't wake up unless you're gross and not brush your teeth, right? You just brush your teeth because you're not gross. And so for investing, I think about it the same way. It's like you automatically set up your payments so a little bit goes every time. I believe you want to have at least 10% of the money that you make go into investing. There's lots of different rules. People could play it either way, but I think pay yourself first, because otherwise you'll never pay yourself at all. And give yourself at least 10%, because we want to beat inflation every single year. And if you do those two things, you are better than about 90% of people that don't do that.
10% after tax. That's just such a great goal for people. And you start thinking about it and you go, oh, what am I spending dumb money on? You know, like what do you see people wasting money on?
You know what the biggest thing is? People waste money on looking rich instead of being rich. And that is a cultural phenomenon that I think is eroding our wealth as society. I mean, perfect example here. Coachella. We know, because we're on the inside, that the dirty secret of Coachella and everybody that you see on there is that most influencers are one.
Time to level up your car? No down payment required with RCBC Auto Loan. RCBC, partners for your passion. Partners through generations.
Taon-taon, marami sa amin ang nabibiktima. Akala namin, hindi kami madadali. Libo-libo kaming tinatama.
Go. 2, give them free tickets. 3, flown out for free. 4, they actually have warehouses where you can pick out the clothes, because that part's expensive, and you get the clothes for free. Or if you're a real pro, they'll pay you to wear the clothes and give you the clothes for free. And so this entire experience for the few who become, because we just desire what other people have, that's how humans are. they're not paying anything for a thing that costs thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, the problem is that the average Coachella main ticket holder, about 64% of them couldn't afford their ticket. So they had to do buy now, pay later options.
Really?
This year. They offered buy now, pay later. And that is just for the ticket. That's not for the clothes, and that's not for the food, and that's not for the drinks. And so we are basically having credit card debt which lasts forever as a trade for Instagram posts which last for a minute. And so the number one thing that you can do to change your financial future is to not buy into what you see on the internet everybody else doing, which is why I really respect what you do. And I try to do it online too. Sure, we have nice things now. Sometimes you'll catch it in places because I won't really tell, but you don't see me flashing nice watches. You don't see me having nice cars. You don't see me posting about private planes. Why? That's not really necessary. And all you are signaling is that that is what success is. That is not what success is. Those are just accoutrements that could be fun if you're into it once you're rich.
Yeah.
But I promise you, I've met so many unhappy motherfuckers who have private jets.
Yeah, no, and I really appreciate that you saying that, because I think for me it was the same thing. I never wanted. I mean, when I started, I didn't have anything to show, but I didn't want someone to follow me for what I had. I wanted them to follow me for what I was saying and doing and living, and that to me always felt like that means anyone could do it. And as soon as it became, and also it was never about getting the thing, even for me. So if you make it about getting the thing, then the thing you do to get it, you don't love. Whereas my thing is I love the game. I love what I'm doing. And same as you, and it goes back to where we started, where it's like, if you love the game, if you respect the rules, if you love what you do, then all of these things are a byproduct. They're wonderful, but they're never the goal, they're never the destination, they're never the thing that you wanted. That's not what drove you there.
It's so true, and they'll all be taken from you at varying points, you know. And so I think about it a little bit like beauty. You know, I'm getting older, and I've tried to on the internet never make it about how I look one way or the other, if I'm fit or not, if I'm in sexy outfit or not. Why? Because I'm gonna get old. I know what the future looks like, and it's old and wrinkly and saggy tits and all the things, right? And that's cool. It doesn't matter. And so if I can like prepare now that maybe people listen because I might have something valuable to say, then I'll still have something valuable to say when I'm 80, as long as I'm still with it. And I think it's the same with stuff. You know, somebody could take that from you, but they cannot take ever. Nobody but God can take all the lessons that you've learned while running this business. Nobody but God can take the relationships that you've built from this business. But many things, including the market, could take everything that sits around us. And so I try to remember that so that I never anchor to it.
When Lewis Howes joined me, he didn't talk about spreadsheets. He talked about experiments. He challenged us to treat money like a relationship, set an intention, stay open to possibility, and practice gratitude when it shows up. Even if it's just a penny on a subway step. He shares a simple practice. I'm a magnet for money. Money comes to me abundantly and freely. Not as magic thinking, but as a way to train your attention, to notice opportunities, receive them, and act. Lewis's message is simple. Treat money with respect, live beneath your means, and focus on really feeling abundant. That's true wealth. Set intentions, do the work, and don't chase easy money. Build skills, serve others, and let effort compound. When you heal your money wounds, you don't just attract opportunities, you're ready to receive them. What do you have to say to people who are saying that you can manifest money? Do you agree with that idea of...
This is an interesting story. I was in New York last week, and I said